I could start this off with many typical quote-unquote hooks to keep you from clicking off. I could say, in the age of AI, where it creates things faster and easier, all while getting better with time, or begin with some statistic about YouTube channels or videos or views, stress over the fact that it's extremely competitive and hard to break into. But by this point, the people I would be hooking would have already clicked off. So, hi viewer with a semi-undamaged attention span and or a slight interest in the topic of this video, I have started making my first YouTube video on April 5th, 2019, which means I am quickly approaching 7 years on YouTube. That fact alone is quite dreadful. It was a video of cuts and highlights of me playing the remaster of Darksiders 1, still one of my favorite video game series by the way, and I sounded like this.
Hello guys, I'm just a potato on fire, here to play some Darksiders 1 with y'all. Now this is my first time making videos, gonna try to do my best.
I'm not even gonna comment further on that. And I also wrote this as a comment on that video. And I quote, "For anybody watching this video, thank you so much. I promise to get a lot better. I'm sorry for the frame drops sometimes in the video. It was from the game and next time it will be better." And my mic settings was a bit off. It doesn't stop. And my mic settings was a bit off. Again, will be better next video. End quote. Yes, and then I will be better and hopefully they would be better and then we can all be better and afterwards perhaps we can make the whole world better. Anyway, my YouTube has been more on and off more than anything, with periods where I release a good amount of videos in and other times not posting anything for almost a year. A lot has happened from then to now. I finished high school, I started running, I recovered from playing League of Legends, I went to university studying computer science, I was consistently going to the gym, I met all sorts of new people that many of now are my best friends. I had long hair, which now I don't. I studied abroad for a year, I got rejected once, I graduated. I changed a lot. And yet as things changed, as everything came by and left, this channel remained. Even in long periods when I wasn't creating any videos, they were always on my mind. It was always, I just have to finish this one thing and then I'll make a video. That's why, when all is said and done, when I actually finally graduated, then job searched abroad to no avail and came back home, I, almost on instinct, just shifted to creating videos. Something you'll notice on my channel since 4 or so months ago. That's when I really picked up the pace, because YouTube has become basically the main thing that I do within this period, with everything else finished now. And with 300 and so subscribers, and a lot of videos not breaking past 500 views even, it's safe to say that the channel is not doing well, at least from YouTube's viewpoint. And yet, I keep making them. Moreover, I want to keep creating them, despite all that. Which got me thinking, why? What makes me keep going? Well, the answer is simple on paper. While the process is long and tiring and stressful, and while the results can be frustrating and disappointing and demotivating, basically, it boils down to, I like it. It's what you expected probably. But when I allow myself to think and set more in the question, I realize it's a lot more than that. Not only in terms of the reasons why I kept going, I think I've discovered more than that. I think I discovered why I want to keep going for the foreseeable future too. It's hard, it always is. Something that you do with no tangible results, the way you see others around you get jobs or chase a career while you're flapping into the unknown, unsure whether you'll sink or drown, or just fucking keep flapping. Unsure if you'll stop liking it one time. If you will run out of ideas suddenly. Afraid people will dislike and completely hate you with every video uploaded. It's risky and unstable and it's wild, and yet somehow you still want to do it. Making you doubt whether YouTube is just a symptom and it is the fact you which is the disease. But that's why this video means so much more. Yes, I want to share my reasons, but I also want to remind myself of them. And I want to discover new ones for myself too. And in the process, maybe, just maybe, do the same for you. Perhaps one or more will cause you to take a step and start that YouTube channel, or just begin on whatever creative endeavor that has always appealed to you. That was a long ass intro, but for this video especially, I want to embrace that and forget about all the extra nonsense tied to this and just get my thoughts out as best as I can. And so with all that, I wanted to first let you know what made me start a YouTube channel in the first place. While the upcoming reasons are definitely a part of it, it actually got kickstarted as a way to improve my English and practice video editing as a skill from scratch. It was a two birds with one stone situation, except there were a couple more birds in the way. I was also a bit lonely at the time. No shame in admitting it, honestly. Wasn't probably the most pressure-filled environment of my academic journey at the time, so a lot of my time went into studying. I was always someone to prefer home than going out. That became much less the case now, but still is. I never had much for friends in school, and I mean, we all know what happened in around 2019, you know, the big C as they call it, and 2019 was when I started anyway, so that would only exacerbate these points. Also, coming from a background of playing many specific live service games for so long and only them, when I finally branched out and discovered how varied single-player video games are and how enjoyable and engaging and unique they can be, I wanted to especially share that bit by bit, but also my experiences as a whole. And from now we can talk about the actual reasons now of why I keep going and why I want to keep going. With the first reason, and probably the most general of them, is that I freaking love creating things. Well, actually, it isn't enjoyable all the time, but maybe a better word is fulfilling. The moment I start working on an idea, on just something, and I begin realizing it to fruition, I just get enthralled by the process. I stop feeling fully myself somehow. For better or for worse sometimes. Yeah, it keeps me focused and in flow, and it's also very enjoyable by the end, but also it makes me forget about some other things that I should be doing, and it makes me less mindful of my surroundings, and quite honestly, it's stressful and full of pressure, mostly internal. But that's just something I constantly have to get better at, and I think I am getting better at, and I can still say creating is absolutely worth it to me, and it doesn't go for just YouTube. I mean, I am in CS and I like programming and developing, thanks mostly to that. And this goes doubly so for game development especially. Thus, at least at the time, I can definitively say it is what I am drawn to. Second is my immense love for YouTube as a platform overall. I cannot stress enough how much YouTube has been a part of my life. Might sound weird, really, but I have been watching YouTube from being at least a 12-year-old. That's whole years of my life so far where YouTube was there. From Minecraft content to League of Legends later, onto Warframe and then Among Us, and slowly but surely it bubbled up to include everything to do with games and the games industry in general, and then more and more and more varieties of content until I seemingly am watching everything. I do not know how far deep other people are, but I would bet I am pretty up there. Or down there for this example. I have seen creators come and go and rise and fall. I have fallen in love and then out of love for many of them, and it was and still is probably the thing I consume content on the most. I started by watching normally, then that added with watching while I'm doing some kind of long but effortless chores at home. Then I additionally started watching, or now it goes more as listening, while doing tasks around the house like laundry and cleaning, or even cooking and eating. And more recently, I have been prey to the second monitor YouTube effect while doing almost everything. Yes, my attention span is not doing that good. Fight me. I grew up with YouTube. I have had many phases on YouTube, and I still like it just as much, if not more by now. I haven't gotten bored yet. I love hearing so many creators talking about their favorite things, topics they are passionate about, videos with production qualities rivaling that of TV shows. And no, not you, Mr. Beast, despite sometimes coming from creators with no budget or team for it. Only the massive care and work and time they themselves put in. But moreover, not only is YouTube preferable to me in so many ways, the other platforms are such a contrastingly different deal to me. I don't use Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and I have never ever used TikTok. Although I do realize they can be not as bad as people make them out to be, and have plenty of hilarious stuff that my friends show me all the time. Ever since its relatively recent explosion, short-form content has never appealed to me, and I knew just how much of a time sink it could be, how it can already mess further with my already messed with attention span, as well as never seemingly having too much value for what I have tried and seen at the time. All that made me just not like it at all, which makes me also not like making it either. Although I did post a couple of shorts recently that were highlights from my roguelike challenge video I made, I was desperate and I am a bit of a hypocrite. Sue me. Same deal with other long-form content platforms like Twitch, for example. I got into it only because of my League of Legends days, and now in hindsight, it feels like I forced myself to be part of that ecosystem, just because that's what my friends on Discord and people playing LoL did at the time. For me, I dislike that streams are not structured and are often filled with a lot of empty gaps in the streams themselves. Even if the streamer was making a point, they'd probably take longer and be more confusing than if it was structured like YouTube content usually is. Let alone the fact that if I'd watch someone play a game or something, I sure as shit would like it to be edited and paced well. Unless if it's a full playthrough, I guess, which I don't do too often anyway, except for Markiplier my king. I mean, who couldn't see this point coming? Everyone and their grandmother start a YouTube gaming channel for this reason. I hecka like video games, man! They've been with me even longer than YouTube has. I think since I was 8 years old or something. Starting with Facebook games and browser games such as Ben 10 of all things. And I believe they helped carry me through life. I don't think I have had too much of a great time as a child. Don't get me wrong, my family was and is amazing and I love them and nothing really was wrong in that department. But I never really got out, never participated in anything like sports or competitions, never made many friends, some bullying sprinkled here and there, and I was just overall awkward and introverted. I know I am by far not alone in this either, but also my appreciation for video games as a medium is above any other. They are able to tell the most powerful stories, present you with experiences that can really challenge you in ways that only they can. They also provide the ability to play and interact with friends in environments that actively encourage interaction between all of you, as it is an actively designed part of that experience. And so much more that I bet I don't even realize all of it. I bet each person takes different things and extracts their own value from video games. They also take a shit fuck ton of loads of work in way too many different fields just to get something out. Then that something needs to actually be coherent and engaging. It needs to have everything integrate together seamlessly, all which is way too difficult than any of us can comprehend probably, unless we're an active part of the process. I would call myself a game developer hobbyist, and I think I realize it's crazy hard. But I think even that isn't enough for me to truly know. It's just enough though to appreciate them more all the same. Honestly, I could make a whole video gushing over this medium and even argue how it is probably the best entertainment medium almost objectively. But let's save that one for later. The rest of the upcoming reasons will include things that I've thought a lot more about recently. The ones I discovered per se, or are more unconventional, and are there to keep me pushing more than anything. Recently, over the past months, I have sort of been understanding myself a lot more. And one thing I newly uncovered is that YouTube helps me keep memory of things. Something I realized I struggle a lot with in general throughout my life. I'll go into describing this feeling, but it's very abstract, so forgive me if I don't do the best job. And to clarify, this might be something everyone has. I never said it isn't, and I would never know anyway. I always feel like I'm living life with no background. The things that I have done are not really taken into account into my present mind. When present with people, it's hard to start topics and feel like an interesting person, even though more often than not I have things I am curious to ask them, to talk about with them, or to tell them about myself. I can hardly recall not the memories themselves, but the existence of them, meaning I am always like a blank slate, or more like, I don't know, made up of my personality, I guess, which has accumulated from my life experience, accompanied with a limited short-term memory. Anything beyond that memory, it is very hard to recognize and pull out. I nearly all the time require a spark, something that suddenly gushes certain memories back vividly. That thing can be sometimes unrelated, but often is. You know how the internet usually treats a public figure that has done one bad thing recently in the face of many good deeds and works they participated in over the past? The internet, more often than not, tears them apart like a pack of hungry piranhas. Might not be the best example, but that's how I feel it goes for me, except much more frequently and generally. I don't know if it's the way I live my life. I don't know if that's just how I am. I don't know if this is a problem everyone has to some degree. But I do know that I do not like that feeling. I want to remember the things I've done, the people I know, the games I've played, and in general the things I've consumed. And moreover, I want to remember my thoughts about all of them, how I felt and how that experience was. And yes, I am aware that is near impossible for anyone, but I can try my best to fight back against it nonetheless. And a YouTube channel is one of the best ways that I can see myself doing so. And honestly, for anyone too. If there's anything I can use to encourage you to start your own channel, even if just as a hobby, just posting videos while you're talking in front of a camera about a weird thought you've had or an idea you've sat on for a while, it would be this reason more than any other. I do also know that journaling and taking notes helps a lot with this too. And I did those things in fact a lot, with probably a lot more methods existing that we can look into. But for me, I just never look back on those journals. They're more for figuring things out at the moment for me than a message to the future. Perhaps I will one day though. The next two reasons might be the strangest, and depending on how you view it, might be a bit ridiculous and way out of scope and proportion, but I, constantly so, want to be creating engaging and entertaining content that acts as a direct opposition to the millions of what I and many others view as low effort, meaningless, draining, and overall net negative content. From brain rot to channels riling up hatred and negativity and drama unnecessarily within you, or for others, to misinformative agenda-filled ones, to well-disguised promotions, and so much more. I am not the content police. I can't directly control what videos are allowed and which aren't, and I wouldn't want to anyway. I believe everyone is allowed to make content as long as it isn't directly causing harm, even if I would still dislike many of it and perhaps wish it didn't exist at all. And I am also aware that that description is vague, but I'm not really planning on getting philosophical here, you know? What I can do though is try myself to give some sort of value to people watching, even if just a little, just something that they gain from the video, an impact that is significant enough to be carried with them as they leave. And if my content can act as an alternative to that valueless content before, then to me, that is more than enough. Of course, what is valuable content and what is not is subjective really, but as long as I am trying my best to go in the valuable direction, and as long as I see the internet filled with content that I, personally, subjectively, view as either affecting people negatively or not affecting them at all, then this point will always make me strive to make more videos and better videos. This point is congruent with the previous one, but I think it currently deserves its own spot. Basically, I want to fight against AI and for the creativity of everyone, by either encouraging creativity further within them, or discouraging the use of AI, or being part of the resistance myself against AI content by providing better, human-made alternatives that is inspired and ultimately personal, or whatever way else I can manage through this channel and also outside of it. We all see it. You've no doubt have heard countless people speak about AI and their views on it, so I won't go deep into that specifically. I just know for a fact that AI is an enemy of creativity, not only in how it fills the internet with its quickly made soulless slop. That one is obvious. What worries me more is how it rapidly and insanely disencourages creativity within people themselves. AI being present as an alternative to making can quickly and easily extinguish that passionate ember within people and kill their creative soul. No longer can writings contain some hidden references or a little bit of quirkiness, or images the inventive designs and shots and angles and line work and colorings. In audio and voices, the subtle differences that makes them fit perfectly and exclusively within what they are used for. And videos, well, they are just a combination of writing, audio, and sequences of images. What would remain of them? A much more worrying issue, though, is that more often than not, we would not realize what we are missing through AI, both through the creations we appreciate and consume, as well as the creating we do ourselves, until it is way too late. The next ones should be shorter. For YouTube, I'm probably extending to game dev. I can't say I can't see myself doing anything else, which is a statement said to show how truly passionate you are about something. Because no, I honestly can't see myself doing many other things. I think I'm adaptable enough, and I guess I would accept the circumstances if I had to. But I also know that I would be extinguishing a potential within me that I absolutely would like to preserve. I guess a better way to put it is that I would prefer to be doing this and other creative endeavors. And while that doesn't sound as appealing, it's realistic and sufficient enough to keep me going. I have never liked the idea of a 9 to 5 or working at a regular company, but I would still not mind trying it at least. And I still like working with a team and deadlines, I guess, just because they get me working better and faster most of the time. Kinda. Generally, it's a balancing trade-off, I would say, and I'll be trying to find the best middle ground I can. Yet it seems on average, the traits that YouTube and game dev requires, such as person willing to not get tangible results and pay for their work for a considerable while, being unafraid to put yourself out there, stupid enough to believe it might actually work somehow despite all the statistics, willing to risk everything, quite hot-headed, relatively unaffected by what people say, and so much more. These are all things that I feel I have, or can have at least. It's hard to put this into words without it sounding arrogant or egoistic, which is definitely not what I'm aiming for. Truly, it feels to me that it takes some little bits of crazy and insanity to do these things, not to succeed in them, just to do them, because success is almost like a different skill set, as well as largely a matter of luck, for the lack of a better word, and I believe I might just have those bits. This ties to the previous point, and now is truly the point in the script where it came up in my mind, which is money. Good old cash. Even though, statistically speaking, it's extremely unlikely for someone to reach a point where they earn money from YouTube, not to mention making an actual living out of it. But I mean, I am mentioning reasons, aren't I? And while improbable, it's still a pretty strong reason nonetheless, especially when combined with all the other ones. Surprisingly enough, not everything is about me. Crazy, I know. And thus, not every factor is going to be an intrinsic and internal one. For my family who are rooting for me to succeed, for every friend that believes in me and encourages me, for every person watching and that has watched a video of mine, for everyone who enjoyed it and every like and each of them who took the extra time to write me a comment. These are expectations from people that I value now, that we've shared something through the video and thus have an ever so slight connection. And I cannot for the life of me ignore that. I mean, if you do something that makes someone smile, even if you've stopped doing or wanting to do that thing, wouldn't you just do it anyway, just for another flash of it, even if selfishly? Sure, I am still doing this mostly for myself, because I believe if that ever changes, my videos will definitely lose something I do not want them to lose. And I'm not just saying overall quality, but they will lack something to me specifically, which might be enough to stop them coming altogether, as that's how often problems within the main source end up causing. Due to this period after graduating, period where I have things in my life that unfortunately I cannot control and are enforced on me and are to take a considerable chunk of my time for a good while and are also stopping me from getting a job. A period where responsibilities are still relatively few is the near perfect opportunity to be going for my quote-unquote dream, I guess, and trying to realize it, to get a taste of it and see if it's delicious or if maybe it's poop flavored. I realized that because I know that there will be no going back, if I do not try with all I've got now, I might never get the opportunity to do so again. At least not full throttle, giving it my all. Not saying I would just go on to live a miserable life or anything afterwards. I feel that most of the time is exaggerated. I will just go on a different path. Might even be a better path for all I know. But for all I know, right now, this is what appears to be what I should be striving for a while. As the self-improvement gang says, you need to try and fail again and experience a variety of things to find what you want to do, and your 20s seems to be the best period for that. At least that's what they all say. Lastly, I am not unaware of the fact that I am mostly afforded this opportunity through having great parents that continue to support me and a decent financial situation, something that not many are able to have, especially if your culture doesn't really accept the idea either. I needed to state that, and I wish everyone could have a year or two to figure things out after graduating, because we are in an ever escalating and never ending race that is almost in a competition to death style, and I believe that this isn't healthy for anyone. And now we come to the last point, which is ultimately, it is a good thing to build a brand and a personality and cultivate a place where you can present yourself and showcase your work, maybe even promote it. That would never really hurt, would it? I mean, if I do plan on making a commercial video game and release it to the public, this channel would be a good outlet to market it and highlight what that game is, for example. Maybe even share my journey through the developing of it like so many others do. Well, that was that then. What sparked this idea for this video in my head is that I was in a vulnerable time per se, and the writing of this video was within that time. Basically, remember when I mentioned a couple of minutes ago the something I cannot control that is happening? Well, that is me going into mandatory military service for a year. It will interrupt the decent pace that I've had for the channel so far, especially since I always want to do so much more, constantly having numerous ideas and things I want to work on, and that's with me having all my time to myself. Now, I'll only have the breaks that I get in between as time to work on all of that, but that's fine. I'm still very grateful and thankful, and in general, it's out of my control, so why even bother complaining about it? All that is what made me think, what will keep me going despite this interruption? And after a while, what has kept me going all this time in the first place? Anyway, I hope this was helpful in some way. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That would also add to the list of reasons for me to keep going. And all in all, I'd recommend you do this yourself to whatever thing you either want to start doing or are already doing. It might make you discover some things you did not know about yourself and more about your relation to the thing you're doing in the first place. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.